Thanks so much. Apologize to the cameraman. I do walk a lot. Okay, so I want to talk to you today about the power of emotion and delight in the experiences that we create every day. That's what we're going to talk about today. But first, I want to talk to you about my grandfather. When I was a kid, I used to watch my grandfather play. That's that dude right there. That was him. And I was a kid, I was like 9, 10 years old. I used to watch him rehearse over and over and over again. And sometimes he would play like crazy hard pieces like Tchaikovsky, but sometimes he would play Pink Panther theme song, which for me was perfect. So regardless of the music, whenever I heard him play, whenever he played, he would end the piece, put down his instrument. A couple seconds would go. And he would always ask this. He would always say, "Did you listen to the sound waves rushing through your chest?" And when I was a kid, I used to envision actual sound waves like crushing my thorax and killing me. Truly, I really did. I was kind of scared. Nowadays, though, I think what my grandfather meant to say was I paying attention to the microinteractions with the music, right? How one note lent itself to the other. How crescendo be crescendoed. The very small nuances of music, was I paying attention to those? I think it was, because I was feeling all these feelings whenever I listened to his music. I felt delight, I felt surprise, I felt sadness, of course, joy. These are complex emotional feelings that we go through, many of these in one day. So we will talk a little bit about those. And it really turns out that when I was feeling sad, happy, excited, extremely confused about music, when I was feeling, it's as if my brain was blinking. So when we feel, our brain blinks. There's a study that came out of a university in Japan. Participants were asked to do normal things, right? Read a book, write and understand a sentence, watch an animated movie, read a manga, touch a physical doll, and calculate a spatial mathematical function. Now, I don't know how everyday that is, but let's go with it. Let's go with it. The results are actually quite startling. They found out that alpha and beta waves were being transmitted during this study. That is completely normal. You and I are all transmitting alpha and beta waves right this second. What I'm showing you right now on the screen, however, those are theta waves. The reason why this is extremely amazing is because theta waves, up until that point, they were mainly referred to as the dream wave. These theta waves are present during dreams. It is closely related to an aspirational experience. So when we dream about flying, for example, theta waves are skyrocketing. And in this study, whoops. Gave it away. In this study, researchers found out that participants, they were dreaming while they were awake, while doing all these things. Not just that, but they also learned better. The stuff that they read, the movies that they watched, the manga that they perused, they were able to recall that far better. The reason why is because an increase in theta waves also results in an increase in catecholamines, which is vital for learning and memory inside of our brains. Not just that, but of course, third point, which I just alluded to, they remembered better. And this one was a big one. Well, why? Why would they remember better? Theta waves are cool, but why would they remember better? And when asked why they remembered something better than others, participants always said that it was because of an adoration for the details, for the small things, how the doll physically felt in their hands, or how the narrative of the story moved them, shook them to their core. Those were all emotional experiences. And it doesn't have to be, everyday things. Charles EAMES, a very famous furniture maker, he worked for Herman Miller many, many years, created the EAMES lounge chair. You should sit in one of those. He often said, the details are not the details, because the details make the design. And that's what these participants were all about, really. They were focusing on the details, and that's why they remembered something better than other things. They remember them because of the details. Now, let's shift, finally, and talk about the web. The web had quite a rocky start. Yes. So this is one of the very first web pages available. It consists of an H1 with paragraph tags and a bunch of hyperlinks. Not very emotional, right? You would probably forget this quite easily. Now, the reason why is because the web was meant for academia, right? It wasn't meant for us. It wasn't meant for the complex emotional experiences that we put onto it every single day in the stuff that we build, in the things that we design. So the web had a rocky start. And emotional memory are very important principles for us to be able to remember things. What? A wild unicorn appeared. That is extremely odd. Who put that there? Okay, let's move on. So recall is very hard, right? Right now, you and I are conscious of the last few words that we talked about. What if I were to ask you, what was the color of the slide before the unicorn appeared? Before that. That was obviously the good one. Trying to trick me? Yes, technically white, but it wasn't. Before white. Sorry? Nope. It was purple. And, right, yeah. I will prove it to you. Boom. So, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, man. Blue, you won. Color calibration, it's all right. Not many people can answer that, actually. Like 1 out of every 10 can answer that. The reason why is because our train of thought process is terrible. Short-term memory for us is absolutely terrible. When something derails our train of thought, such as a unicorn appearing, we forget everything. So I might have just self-sabotaged my presentation, and all you could remember from this one talk might be just the unicorn. But it does bear a purpose, and the purpose is that we need to improve our memory, right? Like, we need to get better at this. Now, how can we improve memory? How can we make someone react to an experience better? In theory, it's actually quite easy. We charge them with emotions. We charge the experience full of emotions, similar to music, for example. That's why we remember music, and we remember lyrics that we heard 20 years ago today. There's a concept in cognitive science called the emotional interface. As babies, we cry and we receive soothing in the form of food, in the form of a cuddle, in the form of a kiss, in the form of a blanket. We cry and we receive something. This transmission releases calming neurotransmitters inside of our body, all over our body, that calms us down. And that is how we form this bond, this emotional interface connection between us as babies and our parents. Now, something similar could be said with a digital landscape, except that engagement is the one that will build trust. If we add engagement and trust together, then that will lead to a positive memory inside of our users and in the experiences that we create every day. It couldn't be more true for us. Every single one of you, whether it's your full-time job or your side project or your passion project or whatever it is that you're building, designing, or creating, you want it to be out in the world. You want to share with someone. That's why we're here. We do it because we want to share it forward. So let's take a look at what Donald Norman says, a cognitive scientist. He says that attractive things make people feel good, which in turn makes them think more creatively. Now, how does that make something easier to use? It is by making it easier for people to find solutions to the problems they encounter. What he really means by this is a concept called the aesthetic usability effect. Attractive things naturally work better. Although I'm not saying that we should make everything absolutely beautiful. No, there is something far more complex to that. And that is a concept of microinteractions. Over the past 15 years, we've been tasked, we've asked ourselves, let's take on big challenges, big problems. Systems design was born out of that, for example. What if we were to change that paradigm, however? What if we were to say, what is the smallest thing I can do that can affect the most meaningful change? The one smallest thing we can do. I'll share with you one of the first microinteractions that I remember, and hopefully you do too. Okay, no audio? Is this audio? There we go. Yes. Oh. It's connecting. So the first time I heard that was when I was 9 years old. I was connecting to a orange Mac, the colorful Macs, and I was extremely excited because at the end of that sound, whatever that was, I was going to be connected to the internet and I was going to do something, play games. I can't remember what I did at 9 years old, but something amazing. And that sound that you heard, I mean, it was there all the time, but they surfaced that to the speakers of the computer so that a user could know that the line was busy, could know that something, the line dropped, that they were connected, that they were not connected. That was a feedback mechanism. That was a micro-interaction between a product and a person, a human being. So let's take a look at some of the micro-interaction principles that you can use today. I'm going to talk to you through 5 or 6 of them. Hopefully you can find one of them that really speaks to you and use it. The first one we alluded to a little bit. It is visual polish. Carefully crafted, beautiful user interface. Stunning attention to detail, beautiful stuff, essentially. This is a website called lotsofdonuts.com. It is made by a Canadian agency called Pilot, Tim Hortons. We have a lot of Tim Hortons in Canada, so they decided to do this because I honestly don't know why. There is a mysterious strawberry blossom. We have a nice eagle view perspective of the donut. Look at the insides of the donut, ingredients, and the background, though you cannot really see it, is a very light shade of pink. Over to the honey cruller, a very, very famous one. The background is yellow. Nice illustration, again, nice insides of the honey cruller. The reason why I'm showing you something so simple as this is because it doesn't have to be a complex interface in order for us to make it beautiful. It can be small. It can be very, very small. These guys wanted to do a website about donuts, and they did, and they made it beautiful. Over to 500px. When I used to work here, we were working on a photo page, and this photo page had shortcuts. And we were sticklers to attention to detail. So if you take a look at the F, you will find the finger bump underneath that F that is very similar to the finger bump that you have in your keyboards right now. We wanted people to see that us as designers, we were careful about every decision that we made. DIY.org is another great example. This is their membership page, full page background color, purple, or bluish purple there. Excellent illustrations, the pizza, the stars, when the page loads up, the stars go down. Look at the typography, look at the layout of it. It is extra awesome. It really, truly is. Moving on to personality. Now, man, personality is a big one. We've all experienced a crazy emotional connection that we have with something that is completely inanimate, right? Us as human beings, we actually thrive off of relationships. We thrive off of a connection that we make with something. So, if there's something that has 2 eyes and smiles, whether it's real or not, we want to attach ourselves to it. One example is the fox inside of most Mozilla products. The fox inside of most Mozilla products, for most people, seeing a browser, essentially a white page with nothing on it, is boring and gives me nothing. By adding a fox, it adds a bit more personality. It adds more brand presence. It adds more interpersonal connection. Another great example, probably one of the greatest ones in the last 7 years or so, is MailChimp, the chimp from MailChimp. I mean, who doesn't know the chimp from MailChimp, right? Hipmunk is a travel booking website. The reason why I use Hipmunk every single time I travel is because of that damn chipmunk that you see right there. I swear, it is that chipmunk. When you search for flights, go to hipmunk.com, search for a flight, and you will find him exactly right. He's sitting on his little tushy, and he's just like doing this. It is the most adorable thing. He's trying to fly. I use it because of that. Okay, moving on to HUMOUR and microcopy. This might be the one that you want to go for, because HUMOUR and microcopy are little snippets of text. They can be helpful text. They're usually humorous. They blend the line between an instruction and a suggestion. Moving over to RedPen, which is a visual feedback website. RedPen teaches me how to say hello in different languages. Now, when we visit Switzerland, we'll know how to say hello. Over on United Pixel Workers, when they were still active, I purchased something, a San Francisco shirt. I abandoned my cart, and then I received this email that says, "Hey, Ricardo, you abandoned us, essentially. Maybe it's because you saw how much shipping was and freaked out. Maybe my browser crashed, or maybe I had to save a child from a burning building. Whatever the case is, though, they want my money. That made me laugh, and I did give them my money. Sleepbot is an application that has a physical device that tracks your sleep. If you haven't used it in a while, it says, hey, wow, have you really not slept in 7 days? So this little bit of sass can be enough to bring the user back from an ignored state to an engaged state of a product, right? Again, MailChimp hits it out of the park. If we create a username and the username is taken, we get an error but says, hey, maybe it's your evil twin. It's spooky. This is extremely frustrating. I want my username. It is my name after all, right? But seeing this message relieves the frustration a little bit more. Extremely helpful microinteraction right here. This also extends to physical products. Yes. Yes. Now you'll remember that. CarbonMay.com is a portfolio website. These guys ooze personality. They ooze humor. They ooze visual polish. CarbonMade is one of my role models for microinteractions. MicroCopy is one of them. Take a look at their packages. Laser Whale, all caps on the right-hand side. Man, yeah, like you dig it. You get it, right? Purposeful transitions is next. Think about the flick of a light switch. Feedback is very important. On the web, we rely on clear tactile feedback. It can be animations, it can be hover states, interactions. A whole talk can be just devoted on purposeful transitions, so I'm just going to talk about one. This is Turntable.fm. It's a subscription music subscription website that you paid your own price. The more you moved the monkey on the right-hand side, the more that he became like ecstatically in love with you. So that was an experiment, right? Hopefully it worked. Hopefully people did spend a little bit more. Instead of $9, maybe they bumped it up to $12 because the monkey was a little bit happier. It is really in the details. This is our last microinteraction principle. It is surprise. Intelligently hidden little surprises through our interfaces provide a layer of fun that ultimately delight our users. Basecamp, at the footer of the website. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Have a happy Monday. The console in Mozilla displays ASCII art of the Mozilla Dino shooting flames. Google Maps is great for this. If you hover over Area 51, drag Pinman over Area 51, Pinman becomes a UFO. Try it out. It works. It is amazing. And Google Maps is riddled with all these little surprises, right? It's why people use Google Maps. It's why I use Google Maps. WWDC earlier this year. This is Visual Idiot, Twitter, at Visual Idiot, posted this photo. A Swift constant with the value of medium, comment made in the USA. They could have just done a normal tag. But why did they do this? Because they were focusing on the small detail. Basecamp, again, this is their sign-up page. The hand moves with the focused state. If you do something wrong, uh-oh. This, apparently, it converted like crazy good. Mig Reyes, he designed this. He's still going to blog about it. It was a year ago, but I'm still waiting for that blog post. How can we microinteract is what people often ask me. Where do we start? And I've thought about this. I actually didn't have an answer for this. And what I realized is that build something you love. If I think back to my grandfather, and when I used to watch him play over and over and over again, I realized that he loved music. He loved trombone. He loved to play it. And that was the battle. The battle had been won. All he had to do is continue improving upon his craft, continue improving upon his own practice, and the microinteractions just naturally ooze out of it, just like music. If we play enough music, if we become passionate about it, then one note carefully and carelessly lends to another. Piano becomes forte, and you don't even know it. You always start at zero, though. Keep that in mind. You always start at, does it work or does it not work? Oh, it doesn't work. Okay, let me fix it. I'm going to fix it. Okay, oh, it works. All right, cool. Ship it, done. No. Let's not stop there. Let's not stop at one. It works. Let's stop at, okay, it works. And where's my smile? Where's the smile that I'm leaving to someone? Where is the giggle? Where is the surprise? Where is your happiness? Scour the web. Go to your favorite websites. Pinpoint those microinteractions. They do happen. They are there. They're seldom, but they are there. Find what you love. The one microinteraction that you love. Maybe it's purposeful transitions. Maybe it is microcopy. Maybe it's visual polish. Find what you love, and then don't let it go. Donald Norman, he says, that it is not enough that we build products that function, that are understandable, usable, but that we build products that bring joy, excitement, pleasure, and even beauty into people's lives. And that's what we're here for, right? We're here to build beautiful things and to share with others. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.